Autumn leaves twirled gently across the wooden planks of Blue River Station as 24-year-old Emily Carter rested on the time-worn bench, clutching a letter that had shattered her aspirations just hours before. The golden evening light cast elongated shadows over the quaint structures of the pioneer hamlet, yet Emily scarcely noticed the serene beauty enveloping her as she reread the heart-wrenching words for the third time. She had journeyed over 1,000 miles from Boston to wed William Foster, a prosperous farmer who'd promised her a warm home and a secure future through months of heartfelt letters. But the letter she held, handed to her by the station keeper upon her arrival, carried William's regretful apology and his admission that he had married another woman mere days earlier. "I'm deeply sorry for any distress this may cause," the letter concluded in William's meticulous handwriting. "I've included funds for your journey back east, knowing this news will be profoundly disheartening." Emily folded the paper with trembling fingers, feeling the heavy burden of rejection drape over her. Like a thick, somber cloak, she had left Boston with nothing but hope and a few belongings packed in her faded carpet bag. Now she faced an agonizing choice: return to a city where she had no family or prospects, or linger in a frontier village where she knew no one and had no means to sustain herself. As Emily sat in the deepening twilight, pondering her uncertain future, she sensed a small presence nearby. A young girl, perhaps 5 years old, stood at the platform's edge, gazing at her with curious, bright blue eyes. The child wore a navy dress, adorned with a dark sash and tiny black shoes, clutching a tattered stuffed bear, clearly a beloved companion through countless adventures. "Hello," the girl said softly, approaching Emily with the fearless wonder that children bring to encounters. "Are you feeling sad?" Emily gazed at this sweet child and felt her first genuine smile since reading William's letter. "Hello, little one. Yes, I'm a bit sad, I suppose. My name is Emily. What's yours?" "I'm Sophie," the girl replied, settling onto the bench beside Emily as if they were old friends. "I live here with my papa. Are you waiting for someone?" Emily pondered how to explain her plight to a child. "I was meant to meet someone, but he decided not to come." Sophie's face grew thoughtful as she absorbed this news. "That wasn't very kind of him. Papa says when you make a promise, you must keep it." "Your papa sounds like a wise man," Emily said, her heart warmed by Sophie's clear sense of right and wrong. Sophie studied Emily's face with the earnest gaze children use when trying to unravel grown-up troubles. "Do you have a place to stay?" The direct question brought a sting of tears to Emily's eyes. "Not yet, Sophie. I'm still figuring that out." Just then, Aman's voice called from the street, "Sophie, there you are. I've been searching everywhere for you." Emily looked up to see a tall man in a brown coat and hat approaching the platform. He appeared to be in his early 30s, with gentle eyes and calloused hands that spoke of hard work. Upon reaching them, he tipped his hat courteously. "I'm sorry if Sophie has been troubling you, miss. She loves chatting with anyone who'll listen." "She's been no trouble at all," Emily assured him, her voice soft with gratitude. "She's been delightful company. I'm Emily Carter." "Thomas Bennett," the man replied, extending a hand. "I run the general store here in town, and this little explorer is my daughter, Sophie." Sophie tugged at the father's sleeve with urgency. "Papa, Miss Emily is sad because someone broke a promise to her, and now she has nowhere to stay." Thomas looked at Emily with deepening concern and understanding. "Miss Carter, are you perhaps a mail order bride facing some hardship?" Emily felt her cheeks flush with embarrassment, but Thomas's tone held only compassion, no judgment. "Yes, I'm afraid so. The man I was to marry chose another path." Thomas's face grew solemn, his eyes reflecting empathy. "I'm truly sorry to hear that. That leaves you in a difficult position, especially with winter approaching." Sophie glanced between the adults, then fixed her gaze on Emily with the fierce resolve only a killed can muster. "Miss Emily, do you like children?" Very much, Emily replied, her voice filled with sincerity. I taught school in Boston before coming west. Sophie's eyes sparkled with excitement. Papa, Miss Emily is a teacher. She loves children, and she needs a home. Thomas looked at his daughter with a blend of amusement and concern, the kind parents show when their children are scheming. Sophie, what are you thinking? Sophie took Emily's hand in her small one, her eyes brimming with hope and longing. Miss Emily, we don't have a mama. She went to heaven when I was very little, and Papa gets so lonely sometimes, even if he tries to hide it from me. Emily's heart ached at this child's raw honesty about her family's loss and need. Miss Emily, Sophie whispered, as if sharing a precious secret, can you be my mommy forever? Papa needs someone to care for him, and I need someone to read mysteries and teach me how to be a lady. Emily gazed into Sophie's hopeful face and felt a warmth stir deep within her chest. A flicker of hope reignited. This child was offering what she had sought, not through contracts or letters, but through a simple bond of mutual need. Thomas knelt beside his daughter, his voice gentle yet firm. Sophie, becoming a family isn't so simple. Miss Emily barely knows us. But Papa, Sophie said with a child's heartfelt logic, you always say we should help those in need. Miss Emily needs a family and we need a mama. It's perfect. Emily looked at this remarkable girl who saw their shared need so clearly, then at Thomas, who watched with wonder and cautious hope in his eyes. Sophie, Emily said softly, her voice trembling with emotion. Being a mama is a very big job. Are you sure you'd want me to try? Sophie nodded eagerly, her face alight with certainty. I can teach you all about being a mama, like how I like my eggs cooked and which stories help me fall asleep. Papa can teach you about the store and living in a frontier town. Thomas stood slowly, his gaze meeting Emily's with quiet intensity. Miss Carter, I know this is highly unusual, but Sophie's right about mutual need. I've struggled to raise her alone while running the store, and winter's no time for anyone to be without shelter or support. Emily felt tears well in her eyes as she realized this chance meeting might offer something far more precious than anything William Foster could have given. Mr. Bennet, are you suggesting... I'm suggesting we could help each other, Thomas said carefully, his voice steady but warm. You need a home and a family, and Sophie and I need someone to bring warmth and wisdom to our household. If you'd consider staying in Blue River, we could see if we might build something lasting together. Sophie clapped her hands with pure joy, her face radiant. Does that mean Miss Emily can be my mama? Emily looked at this precious child who saw past her struggles to her heart, and at the kind man offering not just shelter but a chance at true family. Sophie, she said, her voice thick with emotion, I'd be honored to try to be the best mama I can for you. 6 months later, on a radiant spring morning with wildflowers blooming across the vast plains, Emily and Thomas wed in the small church at Blue River's heart. Sophie served as both flower girl and maid of honor, her face glowing with happiness as she watched her family become whole. The pastor spoke of how God sometimes guides us down unexpected paths when we feel lost, leading us to destinations far more beautiful than we could have dreamed. During the ceremony, as Emily and Thomas exchanged vows with Sophie standing between them, Emily reflected on how a broken promise had led to an unshakable family. William Foster's rejection had seemed like the end of her dreams, but it was the start of a love story more radiant than any she could have imagined. Sophie's simple question had opened a door to a bond built not on deals or formal contracts, but on mutual care, respect, and the quiet truth that love grows strongest when it's needed and freely shared. Years later, when people asked Emily how she came to Blue River, she would smile warmly and say that the best families aren't the ones we plan, but the ones that find us when we need them most. The mail-order bride, who thought she was unwanted, learned that the truest family had been waiting for her, not through letters or ads, but because a little girl's heart had space for a mama, and a good man's home had room for love to grow. And Sophie, now grown with daughters of her own, would tell them of the day she met a sad woman on a train platform and asked the question that made their family whole: "Can you be me, mommy, forever?" Proving that sometimes the greatest proposals come not from adults with formal plans, but from children who see love where grown-ups see only troubles and who dare to ask for what their hearts truly need.